Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. So last year, we ended up looking at one of Solson Publications' guidebooks that they printed along with their comics. In this case, it was 2 issues about the art of ninjutsu. They were not very good. While they did contain some things that were helpful or historically accurate, they also just repeated a lot of information, made up some stuff whole cloth, and the second issue was really just general combat stuff without really much of anything specifically ninja related. So when I did the 2 issues last year, a lot of people were wondering why I didn't ask fellow YouTuber Gaijin Goomba to make an appearance, given not only his experience talking about Japanese mythology and history, but his entire video series talking about ninja stuff. The answer is, I don't really ask for cameos much anymore. Special occasions and whatnot, sure, but the schedule slippage of the last few years has made it hard enough just getting episodes out on my own, and I feel like an ass constantly poking another person to spend time to do one for me, even if they're usually more than happy to. Plus, after spending so many years on a certain website, and basically being associated just with that, I felt it was important to establish myself on my own these last few years. Reunions at mansions haunted by Lovecraftian monsters notwithstanding. So the thought of asking the guy, who I have had the good fortune of meeting a few times over the years at conventions, didn't really occur to me. But he expressed an interest in doing so after he got a look at the comic as well. As such, coming to you live from... I don't actually know where he operates out of, Gaijin Goomba!
Huh? I mean, I'm always down to ninja analysis and popular media, but Linkara, how'd you get access to my cam?
I have my ways. Anyway, he'll be popping in throughout the review to comment on the authenticity of ninja-related stuff in today's outing. So let's dig into Codename Ninja number 1 and see if the characters use the lessons of the ninjutsu book in this story.
Atop the fourth wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. What's with these awkward subjects? What's all this art so rubbish? To anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he is a man, punch, sporadically a grouch. Linkara, he has his own spaceship, but he's always on his couch. Linkara, a universe in flux. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
The cover is actually kind of cool. The black and white preview art from the other Solson books didn't do it justice. We've got a ninja pulling back a bow and arrow in a white void, but the ninja, being dressed in all black, is actually filled in with, presumably, scenes from the comic. A collage of action and romance and stuff. It's a nicely artistic effect and kinda unique. Although this could just be another ability of the ninja, the Luma Key. To demonstrate, here's the ninja-style dancer. And up in the corner is Gary Brodsky, wearing a ninja costume that's, well, about as good as the ninja-style dancers, honestly. We open in New York's Chinatown. Chinatown, morning. For some, it is a quaint place to shop. For others, danger smolders on its cooked streets, sometimes bursting into violent flame, mostly because of a gas pipe explosion. We meet a bearded guy in a crowd who realizes that someone is tailing him. He quickly rushes through the crowd to get away from his pursuer, soon ducking into an alley, but his opponent decides to up the ante by pulling out a gun and shooting, thinking he's got a clear shot. As indicated by the guy carrying a bag of apples, it was not as clear as he had hoped. Ugh! Me shot! Me shot!
Me help, attacked I'm being, hitting me stop you must, God dear bleeding am I, break my leg think I did you.
Cripes, I hit the old guy. Well, now my score's never gonna recover. Might as well just start the level over. They even devote an entire row of panels to show the guy falling over dead. Weird. Once the shooter gets to the alley, he can't find the bearded guy. I know you're here! I say you're dead! Well, if he's dead already, then the job is done and you can knock off early. Bearded guy leaps out and brawls with the guy. Pursuer loses his gun and thinks he's knocked out the bearded guy, so he walks away for a moment to retrieve it and finish the job. But the bearded guy is awake and pulls out a small tranquilizer gun from under his pant leg. Gotta be really awkward when he bumps his leg against his desk and accidentally knocks himself out before clockout time. Using the dart, his would-be killer is down, and we finally get a name for him. Iron John. John doesn't recognize this guy, so he rifles through his pockets and finds some identification, namely stuff that indicates he's a special agent. He confirms the guy's documents aren't forgeries, meaning that this guy is indeed the real deal.
Sorry, pal, but that's one company-issued tranquilizer dart you won't be waking up from.
Wait, does that mean they're not actually tranquilizers, but full-on poison? That just makes it even more awkward when he bumps his leg against his desk.
So, for as much as I may ream this comic book later about its authenticity, I will say, this altercation between secret agents kinda makes sense for having a ninja story in a modern setting. I mean, ninjas were essentially early 600 to 1600 era special agents obsessed with gathering intel, sabotage, intrigue, etc. So, translating it into espionage with modern tech is kind of an interesting evolution. Until the book later breaks out the original ninja gear anyway.
After walking away from the body, we cut to some time later.
New York City, afternoon. The city pulses like a giant heart, loaded with cholesterol. There are some who thrive on that energy. Others crack.
Some then charge ridiculous, exorbitant prices for that energy.
Some simply mark time, waiting for the night.
Unfortunately, the night's GPS gave it the wrong directions, and it's an hour late. John is now playing racquetball with his friend Steve Champion, which just kind of feels right for an 80s American ninja-style story, doesn't it?
Come on, John, pay attention and you may learn something. The game is called racquetball.
Well, technically, no it isn't. You guys are playing racket with a Q racquetball. Racquetball without one is the British version of it, and there are some differences, but I think we can let that slide. It's a black and white independent comic made before Wikipedia existed. I can forgive them for spelling the wrong racquetball. That being said, why are they in the middle of playing it if John didn't know what the hell they were doing? Still, John is able to win when Steve slips on the floor. Also, get a load of the headband Steve is wearing. Kind of expect him to be played by Pierre Kirby and have ninja written across it. But anyway, Steve knows that John didn't call him up after so many years to just play racquetball.
I picked up a tail this morning in Chinatown. Finally, you've been working on that fursuit for years, man. Stop being so damn picky. A pro. He tried to kill me, Steve.
Only the most professional of agents try to murder people out in the open amidst a crowd with lots of civilians to get in the way.
Not too surprising considering the company you keep. This makes, what, the second try in 1 month?
I haven't seen you in years, but I know how many assassination attempts have been made on you in a month. According to John, this was actually the third, but worse is that he was one of their own agents, a guy named Silas Cull who specializes in wet work.
I've heard the name before, though admittedly I thought wet work meant that he worked on the sprinklers out in front.
Steve wonders how this could be, since it makes no sense for someone in their own organization to be trying to kill him, and thus why John went to Steve. He can't trust anyone currently working there, which, just to spoil you now, is the CIA, to look into this if they really are trying to kill him. Steve declines, though, because he left due to all the infighting.
I left the agency because of all the infighting, but it doesn't make sense that people inside of the agency would try to kill their own.
Yeah, there's probably the infighting that was more political stuff rather than trying to kill each other, but it's just weird to have those panels so close together. Steve also has a wife and kids now, but John begs him for help, thinking sooner or later he's gonna be killed. He even calls in a favor for something that happened in Hong Kong, so Steve finally accepts. On the way out, Steve thinks some more about it. John is apparently the director of the CIA, so it's not like it's a big deal or anything if he gets assassinated. And the fact that even he's so worried about this gives Steve pause. Though maybe he should be more concerned about the fact that when he looks at any reflective surface, it reveals that he's actually a ninja. Food for thought. What if vampires, instead of having no reflection in mirrors, showed ninjas instead? Steve returns to his normal job, which he fears he'll lose if he gets involved in all this again.
Funny, in the company, they used to call me the architect because I could always figure all the angles.
Then they'd get annoyed when I told them that that's technically a geometrist and not an architect. And of course, he apparently took that to heart and became an actual architect.
This is already starting to tear at me, and I'm beginning to wonder already, who am I, really? Steve Champion, brilliant young architect by day, ninja by night.
Damn it, I thought I had escaped the CIA's ninja department.
Cripes, I'm beginning to sound like a comic book.
Not a particularly great one either. Once back in the office, he's informed that a big project, his design for the new art center, got approved with no changes, which is cause to celebrate, yet of course he's distracted by the stuff with John.
Maybe a little work will take my mind off things. Let's see, the stress factor here, if I work it out in terms of the tonnage of the support beams and...
hell and damn! How did I end up making the building into the shape of a ninja?
It's no use. My thoughts keep drifting into dozens of directions at once. Maybe meditation will do the trick.
I must put on appropriate music for this.
Go ninja, go ninja, go! Go ninja, go ninja, go!
Well, I gotta say, this part is actually somewhat legit, because meditation was a huge part of shinobi life on and off the field. Buddhist meditation, particularly Mikyo Buddhist meditation that used mudras, which are those little hand gestures done during meditation, were used by shinobi to essentially mind over matter difficult situations and relax their body. Mind you, I kinda question the mudras that Mr. Champion's using in these panels, but points for the concept.
Relax all earthbound ties. Sink into the earth. Be as one with it. Be as you are. As you have become in every atom of your being. Ninja. Consult with the ninja midichlorians.
Nothing like them ninja subatomic particles, eh? Basically, we use this as a flashback to Steve's life.
Drift on the tide of time. Back to your beginnings. To your mother. And your father.
And them coming home and having sort of okay sex after the office Christmas party that resulted in you.
We are one. The future is past, and the past is future. Time is a circle.
That means lunch won't be till yesterday.
Nagasaki, Hiroshima, gone in an instant.
It was ninjas who nuked Japan? No, of course. Well, it's slightly more confusing on the connection there. His father was a soldier in World War II, maybe in the Pacific Theater, who met his mother at the hospital, where she was a nurse. She informed him of Japan's surrender.
Well, I have some news for you. Come a little closer. My bedpan is full.
No, he just grabs her and kisses her.
Your father, always a man of action.
Your father, always a man of sexual assault. The two dated and got married and settled in Japan, where apparently everyone wears kimonos all the time. Also, maybe one of them was Japanese and that's why they stayed, but they otherwise look really white, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, they could have just chosen to stay there because they legitimately liked it, but even the mother earlier as a nurse was all, yay, the war is over and we can all go home, and I don't really see immediate post-war Japan as being the ideal place to settle down.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with ninjas or ninja culture, but I really am just as baffled as Linkara as to why these two are still in Japan. Moreover, if we're talking about a strictly American couple here, why are they having a Shinto wedding? Like, when it comes to mixed couples, that makes a lot of sense, but in all of my years of studying about Japan, visiting Japan, and so on, I have never once seen a traditional Shinto wedding that featured two foreigners. But even if we gave them the benefit of the doubt and said that these two had some kind of Japanese ancestry, these wedding clothes are just kinda off. The headdress that the bride is wearing, I think is supposed to be a tsunokakushi, though due to the lack of details, it just looks kinda odd. Like they're just kinda stuck yarn balls to a sailor's hat, and her dress, which is supposed to be a shiromuku, looks like it's just kinda like a one-layer kimono, and really loose at that. Typical shiromuku wedding kimonos had 2 layers that were fairly bulky, and maybe that's what they're trying to show in this panel, but the detail is so muddled that it's really hard to tell. But the husband's outfit, on the other hand, that is just about completely wrong. He's missing the Monsuki Haori Hakama, an ensemble that includes an under kimono, an over kimono, and a Haori jacket that has family crest on it. That's the big thing he's missing. But I also think that he's missing Hakama pants too. So not only is there very little reason for them to be having this kind of ceremony in this way, they're not even really doing it right.
But yeah, then Steve was born, grew up, got beat up by bullies, vowed vengeance, and I guess when you're in Japan, vows of vengeance will lead you to martial arts academies. Well, either that or magical girl schools, but they tend to frown on taking revenge.
Where he was schooled also in the sciences, philosophy, comparative religion. Do you believe in the teachings of Ninjor or Master Splinter? There is a holy war between them.
Okay, so we find out that this school that young Mr. Champion went to is a Togakure-ryu school. Basically a school of ninjutsu whose historical accuracy is questionable at best in this day and age. Though admittedly in the 80s it was believed to be an unconfirmed truth that they existed exactly this way. But that being said, even if there was a comprehensive school of Togakure-ryu like this, there's no way it could replace a traditional school system. In post-World War II Japan, which is when this comic book takes place, school was an even bigger deal to Japanese students than it is now, and I highly doubt that a college is going to take Bijutsu and Ninjutsu studies as transferable credits. Moreover, there is no way, repeat, no way in heck that some random white family could just easily enroll their kid into this highly secretive school, not without a gigantic grant or something along those lines. But here's the central problem that I have with the ninja aspects of this comic. Togakure-ryu taught 18 critical forms of martial arts, and this book does list off quite a few that the Togakure-ryu teaches. But ninjutsu doesn't actually have anything to do with hand-to-hand combat. It really is just espionage tactics. That isn't to say that Togakure-ryu didn't and doesn't teach martial arts, it absolutely does. But ninjutsu at its core has nothing to do with martial arts. Rather, it has everything to do with being a good spy. Now obviously Ninja did know martial arts, but that was supplemented through other personal studies. Ninjutsu, at its core, is just spy tactics.
So eventually, I guess Steve found that bully again and used the most ninja of techniques to defeat them. Boxing. Also, they look like adults now. Did the bully enroll in the martial arts school too? So, what else did Steve train in? Zen teachings.
I don't think there's actually a single instance of ninja using Zen Buddhism specifically in their philosophy and teachings. Mikyo Buddhism, sure, but I don't think Zen specifically has anything to do with this.
But he also has to learn about various weapons and how to use them. Swords, of course, but more importantly, shuriken jutsu.
So here's the funny thing about shurikens. They actually have more to do with samurai than ninja. Like, shuriken jutsu was a samurai martial art that I suppose over time bled into more modern ninja. I mean, considering even samurai could be ninja. And yeah, for ninja, these were great tools. They absolutely could be used for more than just throwing. In fact, they typically made for a better small-scale fist blade. They could also be used as improv hangers or even caltrops, but because they were made from metal, which was incredibly expensive, heavy, and easy to inflict self-injury, they realistically weren't used by ninja that often, as they were just a waste of resources and had high liability. It was actually just straight up easier for ninjas to chuck rocks at their targets if they needed to cause injury or distraction.
The skill of throwing the Star of Death.
Right? It's my ninja star. This is yours.
Star of Death? Alright, look, shurikens were little more than a way for a ninja to try to make a painful distraction while they escaped. The only way you're actually gonna kill someone with these things is if they're poisoned, or if you get real lucky hitting their face, throat, or spine. Even then, the shuriken's blade's gonna need to be long enough to penetrate. Dude, this is the 1980s, just get a gun.
Finally, mastery of ninjutsu, the path of the Night Warrior. Unfortunately, he got lost on that path because he forgot to bring a flashlight. In this, he surpassed all others, save one.
Not surprising considering nunchucks were never really a ninja weapon. They were actually imported from Okinawa and didn't really hit the mainland until more modern times.
He also left his parents to go to America. The boy become man. I am become man, master of ninja. He got a degree in architecture, which is impressive considering I'm not sure how many colleges will be keen to see martial arts school as his high school background, but whatever. Met his girlfriend, got married, and started an international career designing buildings in other countries. Oh, sure, build pyramids in Egypt, Steve, real original. Some may expect me to make the ancient Egypt joke here, but as a reminder, the deadly foe of America is ancient Egypt, as it continually sends curses, mummies, and children's card games to destroy us. Modern Egypt's a whole different thing. He spent a while in Paris, where one night he witnessed a mugging and decided to enter the fray. Exit the architect, enter the ninja. Steve says that to himself anytime he enters a public bathroom. The guy he rescued was, in fact, good ol' Iron John, thus starting their friendship. His meditation is interrupted by a phone call from his wife, who informs him that John has been shot. She knows because Steve's phone number was in his pocket and they were called. He's alive, but in intensive care at the hospital. Steve heads over, going in to see him despite the objection of the front desk. who does nothing to stop him.
Once in, he apologizes to the unconscious John for not believing him.
Dude, he talked to you about this like 2 hours ago.
I don't think you really could have done anything. Steve hears some odd noises, and after confirming nobody's in the hallway, he re-enters and discovers another ninja, who's about to kill John. The two fight, Steve grappling with the ninja until he throws some pocket sand in his face.
Ninja death powder!
Ninja death powder. Alright, granted, ninjas had extensive knowledge about pharmaceutical chemistry to create poisons and medicines, but this is 1987, dude. Ninja death powder could be Walmart brand rat poison for all it matters, and it'd be just as effective.
The assassin leaps out the window, somehow grabbing onto the wall despite diving through it and already making his way up to the roof. Steve is able to follow. The two face off once more until John leaps through the air and kicks the ninja in the face.
This is for John Reardon! Also for my shoes, which I am no longer wearing.
Yeah, he probably took them off when he scaled the building, it's just we didn't see it happen. A helicopter comes out of nowhere to rescue the assassin, who kicks Steve to get clear. The guy climbs into the chopper, with Steve running to it to try to get in as well. As such, the assassin pulls out some shurikens.
Haha, too late to reach me! On the other hand, I can reach you with these!
Why is he pulling out an Itomaki shuriken? Like, shuriken have an effective range of maybe 20 feet, and that's only if you're good at throwing them.
He tosses them at Steve, who deflects them all with his bare hands.
Codename Ninja!
He leaps onto the chopper, grabbing hold of its landing skids as it takes off. The pilot wants to try to shake him off, but the assassin has a better idea. And so our comic ends with him pulling out a gun to shoot Steve at point-blank range.
Dude, why didn't you just lead with the gun? Look, ninjas were some of the earliest adopters of firearms and gunpowder tech. You could have just ended it right there in the hospital room, or you could have just ended it right here getting on the helicopter. Why did you just use gun?
Assuming our opponent does not possess the skill of dodging bullets.
And considering there was no second issue of Codename Ninja, I guess we can assume he didn't have that skill. This comic is actually kind of okay, though it's definitely schlocky. This is basically an 80s canon films movie made into comic form, with an American ninja, stereotypes about Japan, a square-jawed hero who's pulled into events where he has to use his ninja skills against other ninjas that are just around. But it's not so bad that it's painful. It's just something meant to provide goofy entertainment with martial arts action scenes. You can't take it any more seriously than you would the American ninja movies. The artwork isn't even bad either, with fairly decent backgrounds, and the style itself is just so of its time as an 80s comic. The action flows well, characters stay on model, and it's not confusing or terribly executed. Overall, this is probably Solson's best comic we've seen, which admittedly isn't a particularly high bar when the competition has been Reagan's Raiders, Samurai Santa, or sultry teenage super foxes. And that's it for this one. Come back next week for another Patreon-sponsored review as we look at yet more Batman, an entire year-long storyline that has had repercussions even to today. Until then, I want to thank Gaijin Goomba for his help with today's episode.
Hey, no problem. This is what I live for, man. But, really, Linkara, how'd you get access to my cam?
Can't hear you. Credits rolling. Bye!
I'm sitting on my couch reviewing comics, the worst words that you will ever see. It's sad that comic books are for geeks, but they're not. They're for everybody. If you doubt that I am a man, I am a man.
Wait, so there's a building just called Buddha?
Hello my friends, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon or purchase a t-shirt via Teespring or Shark Robot. Thanks for watching!